Hi, welcome back to my 30-day redesign for your boudoir business, and we're at, what are we at? Day 17, oh my goodness. And today we're talking about signature pose library. So yesterday we defined the mood of the brand, and today we're putting the mood into motion as such. One of the biggest killers of a luxury experience is the photographer who looks unsure doing a shoot. When you wing it, basically the client will see it no matter what. And when you wing it with posing, the client feels your hesitation and her anxiety will definitely start to actually spike in some way. Today we're building your signature pose library. It's something that I always try to encourage any type of photographer to have at hand, and so they can kind of lean on it at any stage. Because when you have a curated set of go-to images and go-to moves, that ensures you lead the absolute confidence every single time of every single client, no matter how they're feeling. When we're looking at a variety of set poses that reflect your style in marketing, your social media shows that consistent look, especially in how bodies are positioned and transformed. You aren't just showing photographs where you're shown a specialized set of skills. Clients book you because they want that specific silhouette image or whatever. So when we start to use those in creative use, poses aren't just shapes, they're emotions. A slouch is different from a curve. A direct gaze into the camera is different from a turned head away or looking down. Every pose must reinforce the mood we defined in yesterday's signature mood, as it were. So with all the kind of the inspiration, if we prepare ourselves and prepare ourselves with like contact sheets or images on our phone, whatever it is, this preparation can really spark a confidence in yourself as well as actually with the client. In fact, having that core, 10 images, those go-to images that you always shoot, you'll stop worrying about things, I promise you. Obviously, it's easier when you're doing 3, 4, 5 shoots a day. You get into this kind of rhythm, but you've also got to make sure you're leaning back on to your mood board, no matter what, your mood images, the ones that you're guaranteed, especially if you're going to train other photographers to be doing what you do as well with it. So stop worrying about what to do next and start focusing on the client's energy, because you already know what you're going to be doing next. So today, I really want you to look at your work through a structural lens so that you can kind of, in some ways, go on repeat, but still deliver the amazing variety of images based on that client, because you're adapting your flow as you go. But you can also relax in yourself. The transformation which poses consistently make your clients gasp when they see the back of the camera is what we're going to lean on. Yeah, these are always going to be our winners, and they're always going to be our sellers. The mood alignment, if your mood isn't quite intimate or quiet, but you've set out in your words that your styling is going to be that, your signature mood, then you've got to make sure that your poses reflect that. Touched on that yesterday a little bit. So are you continue using your power poses or poses that clash with your visual brand? Only you know that by going through it. I'm trying not to confuse you, but I'm sure you know exactly what I'm on about. Is you've got to lean on those power 10 or the power 20 images. And even though some of them will not be right for your client, you've got to know the flow to be able to actually understand what is going to work with some clients. So you just kind of knock it out and you move on to the next one, as it were. There's always cues. It's not just about a pose. It's about how you describe it to your client. All right. So when you kind of start to describe a certain pose or a flow to the client, do they understand those verbal cues? That's key. And will the verbal cue as well help your client get there effortlessly? Or is it going to be kind of a problem? I find that so many photographers who work with, say, larger ladies all the time, they get a little bit unknown of what they can do with a slimmer, fitter kind of client, and vice versa. And you've got to be able to kind of lean on the poses that are going to fit into your signature, and you've got to be able to leave some out. So in other words, I very rarely will go onto all fours with a fuller woman where she's on her knees and leaning on her hands, because it's not going to be good for her shape. However, with a fitter, slimmer kind of client, they can get away with that. A woman with a smaller boob is going to kind of need a different kind of shaping with the arms compared to a woman with a fuller boob, which you can basically control the shape with again, use of her arms and so on with it. So I want you to kind of really task yourself to select, 5 to 10, even 15 signature poses that perfectly align with your brand mood board. That's the key thing, yeah? So for each one, note down the key positioning cues you use and the emotional impact that poses have on the client. This is your standard operating procedure from behind the camera, so you can kind of rely on it. So I just want you to ask yourself, okay, which poses consistently create the transformation that I promise with all my words and website and everything else? And am I using them enough to make them my true signature mood board and style? Good luck. I'll see you tomorrow.